The first time I saw the dress, I laughed. It wasn't the kind of laughter that came from humor. It was sharp, uneasy, the kind that escapes when you don't know how else to react. It was a short, shimmering thing, hugging every curve of my wife's body like it was designed not for elegance but for temptation. She stood in front of the mirror, turning slightly, her eyes lingering on her reflection longer than they lingered on me. "Too much?" she asked, tilting her head, a sly smile pulling at the corners of her lips. I swallowed hard. "For a dinner with your co-workers?" A shrug. "It's just a dress, David. Don't be dramatic." But it wasn't just a dress. It was everything unsaid. We'd been married for 8 years, together for 10. Emma had always been beautiful, yes, but what drew me to her was her warmth, the way she'd listen intently, how she used to laugh at my terrible jokes, how she'd squeeze my hand under the table during awkward family dinners. She was the kind of woman who'd rather stay in on a Saturday night with pizza and a movie than go drinking at a bar. At least, that's who she was. Lately I didn't recognize her. She worked late more often than not, her phone glued to her hand, screen angled away from me. She wore more makeup, dressed like she was auditioning for a part in someone else's life. And then there were the silences, the heavy, suffocating kind that replaced conversations we once couldn't stop having. That night, when she slipped into that silver dress and grabbed her clutch, I felt something in me coil tight. "Emma," I said, my voice low, "you're going out in that dress?" She paused at the door, giving me a look. "Yes. If you do," I said, my chest burning, "don't come back." Her eyes flickered, but she didn't argue, didn't shout, didn't cry. She just smirked, an almost imperceptible lift of her lip, and walked out. The click of the door shutting behind her was louder than any slam. The hours crawled. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the empty doorway like she might reappear, laughing at the absurdity of it all. But she didn't. Midnight came. Then 1. Then 2. I scrolled through social media, checked her location on the tracking app, turned off. My stomach churned. By 3 I wasn't angry anymore. I was hollow. I replayed the last few months, the sudden girls' nights, the way she guarded her phone, how distant she'd been in bed. The pieces had been there, scattered like shards of glass I'd refused to step on. Now they were cutting deep. When I finally fell asleep, it was on the couch, the faint scent of her perfume still lingering in the air like a ghost. She came home at 7 in the morning. I heard the door, the soft shuffle of heels being kicked off. I opened my eyes just enough to see her through the crack of my lashes. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. She moved carefully, like someone who'd been drinking, her phone in hand as she typed a message before tossing it onto the counter. She didn't look at me, didn't say a word, just disappeared into the shower. When she came out wrapped in a towel, she finally noticed me. "You slept out here?" she asked, feigning surprise. I sat up, my throat dry. "Where were you?" "With friends," she said casually, avoiding my eyes. "Which friends?" She hesitated. "You don't know them." The lie was so casual it cut deeper than if she'd shouted. I didn't press further, not then. My chest felt like it would cave in if I did. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, came home, and watched her drift further away. She was always on her phone, always smiling at messages I wasn't part of. She smelled of cologne that wasn't mine. One night I finally broke. We were eating dinner, takeout she picked up on her way home. She was scrolling through her phone between bites, her lips twitching with a half smile at whatever she was reading. "Who is he?" asked. Her fork clattered against the plate. "What?" "The guy you've been seeing." My voice cracked, but I forced it steady. "Just tell me, Emma. Don't lie anymore." Her eyes hardened. For a moment I thought she'd deny it, spin another story. Instead, she set her phone down and leaned back in her chair. "You said not to come back if I went out in that dress," she said flatly. Maybe I should have listened. The words hit like a bullet. "So there is someone," I whispered. She looked away, silent. That silence was louder than any confession. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. My mind replayed everything. Our wedding day, the promises we made, the nights we held each other when the world felt too heavy. How did we get here? How did the woman I loved, the woman I built a life with, slip so far from me that I didn't recognize her anymore? I wanted to rage, to scream, to throw the plate across the room. But all I could do was sit there, staring at her, as the weight of betrayal crushed me. Finally I stood. I meant what I said, Emma. You don't come back from this. She didn't follow me when I walked out. I spent the night at a friend's house, tossing and turning, haunted by images of her in that dress, in someone else's arms. The next morning I went back to the house, half expecting her to be gone. But she wasn't. She was in the kitchen, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. When she saw me, she set the mug down. We need to talk. My heart pounded. About what? About us. Her voice was calm, too calm. She talked about how she felt trapped, how she missed feeling desired, how she didn't want to be just someone's wife anymore. She admitted there was someone else, a man from work, someone who made her feel alive. Each word was a dagger. So what was I, Emma? I asked, my voice shaking. What were these last 8 years? She hesitated. Comfortable. The word shattered me. I walked upstairs, grabbed a suitcase, and began packing. She didn't stop me. Didn't cry. Didn't beg me to stay. She just sat at the table, sipping her coffee, watching me dismantle our life piece by piece. It's been 6 months since that day. The divorce is nearly finalized. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. I sleep on a mattress on the floor, cook for one, and stare at the empty walls more than I care to admit. But in the quiet, I've learned something. Love doesn't die in an explosion. It erodes, slowly, silently, until one day you realize the foundation is gone, and the house you thought would stand forever collapses with a single push. I told her not to come back if she walked out in that dress. She came back anyway, but the woman I loved never did. And maybe that's the cruelest part.